Okay, so now we are recording.
Yes.
So I have been speaking with several people, and Bridget Hoder is a writer, and she's been
Holder.
Hodder.
No L, just
No,
Hodder. Okay, Hoder.
yes.
Okay.
So
It
here
sounds
are
like
the
an Amish
categories.
name. I know that it's not.
I'm sorry.
I'm laughing because it sounds like an Amish surname.
Who knows? What the origin is for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we
Okay.
came up with several, and I've been kind of adding to the list here.
Okay.
And so the first one is reclaiming our Sephardic identity.
Okay.
And so the basic idea of that is that there are, people that don't have the uh, immediate connection to our culture like
Right.
we had when we were growing up. We take things for granted. This is our heritage, even though our family moved to new places, but we practiced all these traditions.
You're not speaking necessarily about Anusim, are you?
No.
Okay. Because that's a whole
So
that could, it could touch on that, but that's a whole nother monster. Not
yes.
a monster. That's a negative term. Yeah, no. There was no Freudian slip there. Um, but
So that's one. Let
that's
me go through the
yeah,
list.
yeah.
Okay, so then there's another one, and some of these dates. There's only one date so far that I think we have a date for. That's May 16th. Would be that reclaiming our Sephardic identity, and so Bridget and Nicholas Conley both are kind of in that same type of situation. So that's going to be a panel. And here are some of the other ones that I'm talking to people about. And so I think there are several that I'm thinking about how what you have to offer
Mhm.
could fit into some of these slots. This
Sure.
this next one is not an example of that, but I've been talking to. His name is Ilko Minev,
Ilko Minev
Minev.
is my known cousin. He is my cousin.
Who is?
Ilko Minev is my cousin.
He's your cousin, really?
Yes, he is my cousin.
Oh, how cool is
His
that?
Ilko's great grandmother was Bulisu Behar,
Uh-huh.
and she was a sister of my great grandfather Nisim Behar.
Oh, wow. So you're part Bulgarian.
Yeah, our Behar family came from Sliven, Bulgaria, exactly. And
So this
uh,
is really cool.
when my sons both helped Ilko with the editing, the
Wow.
English editing of that book. My sons are both writers.
That's wonderful.
They're also, in the sports world. But Ilko's wonderful.
I spoke to
Yeah.
him yesterday, and
Mhm.
we had a very nice discussion because one of my other passions
Yes.
is folk music and dance. And I told him I've been to Bulgaria 3 times. So
Wow.
I
I'm
started talking to
impressed,
him
Mark.
about, Koprivnica, for example, which is
Yes.
you're familiar with that. And
No,
so,
I'm
oh,
not.
so there's okay.
I'm excited to hear this, but I'm not familiar with that specifically.
So Koprivnica is a village in the middle of Bulgaria,
Okay.
and in the whole village is a UNESCO heritage site.
Yeah,
So for many years, um, every 5 years, for I don't know when it started, but there are these festivals where people come from all over the world to participate, to observe this
mhm.
beautiful thing that's happening in Koprivnica. I've been there twice.
Oh, wow. That's great.
And um, so that's, I won't get into those details, but this
Yeah,
is
another
a,
time though. I'd love to
another
hear.
big part of
Yeah.
my life, and the
Uh-huh.
Bulgarian culture and the people are very close to my heart because they're just so wonderful, and they have a
Yes.
different perspective on the Ottoman Empire, which is very interesting because in my family's from Rhodes, so the Ottoman Empire did good things for the Jews coming into into the
Absolutely.
empire,
Yeah.
whereas the Jews, or not the Jews, but the people in Bulgaria, the natives there, not the Jews, but the natives were suppressed
Yes.
by the Ottoman Empire. So, but the and I'm not going to tell you, the story about how, he was telling me yesterday about basically the patriarch laid down in front of the train, and all
Yeah.
that sort of thing, and then the
Yeah.
other, and so anyway, that's what I'm going to call him back to kind of try to get the right point in, probably in
Exactly.
June.
Just to clarify.
Yes,
Yeah.
the point in time, but he's going to be speaking about that. So the title of that theme is Sephardic Survivors of the Shoah. And there's no one else yet for that, but if there's an opportunity, either way, I'm fine. Either him as a single speaker, or if we have a panel, that's fine too.
Before I forget,
Yes.
since it's specifically keyed in or linked in right to what you're talking about, um, I have another possible contact for you with survivors.
Okay.
And this into a different branch of my family that
You're freezing up.
and
Can you say that again? Your image is
my
frozen. I didn't catch
connect.
your
Okay, you know
audio.
what? Hold on one second. Let me try to fix this.
Oh, okay.
1 second.
See, you are technologically savvy.
I'm glad I'm giving that appearance, but the truth is, hell no. Okay. Okay, hold on. Give me a moment
Okay.
here. Okay. Let's see if that electronically translates to a better. Okay. I don't know if that's going to do anything.
It's worth a shot, right?
Hoping. It's worth a shot. Exactly. Let me just readjust. Okay. Another branch of my family that is from Greece. And I think, I'm sorry, I'm going off track, but you did DNA testing, correct?
Yes.
Okay, with what company?
Actually, I'm sorry. I did it for my wife. I haven't done it with me yet. I did for my wife, the 123 one, but I need to do it for me.
Yeah, that's not user friendly.
And my daughter did Ancestry, which is kind of so, but there's others that are more specific.
Family Tree DNA is the most user friendly, but for any of those sites, unless the test is really new, you're able for free to share it to Family Tree DNA for a free account, that being the most friendly of the sites.
Mm-hmm.
And you're also able to share it with the umbrella site known as GEDmatch. And that GEDmatch doesn't sell tests. What they do is they warehouse all the DNA companies and allow you to compare yourself to people, even if they tested with a different company.
Huh.
That's what makes it brilliant. You can also find out if your parents were related, because we know in our community there was lots of endogamous marriages.
Yep.
And there's other bells and whistles. So I highly recommend both of those, which are free, free downloads. Okay, so going back to the Greek, my one of my maternal great grandfathers was from Hanya on the Isle of Crete, which is really not so far from Rhodes. And I find that I have a lot of DNA matches to, the Rhodesley community. And one person, when the Nazis invaded Hanya, what they did was round up all the Jews of the island to the best of their ability. And they put them on a ship, which was bound for Auschwitz.
You're breaking up again. I still can't hear you.
And this ship that comes on, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Keep telling me when you can't, because my volume on my end is turned up. They rounded up all the Jews of the island, put them on a boat bound for Auschwitz. And from the air, the British allies assumed that that was a Nazi vessel.
Oh, no.
Or that it was full of Nazis, let's say. And they dropped a torpedo. And fairly instantly, all of the Jews, all of the population of Hanya was annihilated.
Oh, no. I've never heard that story.
What remained were those few Jews that were able to hide. Very few. I can count on one hand. And those that left, that immigrated to countries such as Egypt, Israel, etc., Palestine, etc., at that time. No, it was already Israel at that time. Yes.
It would have been Palestine.
It could priorly Palestine.
Yes.
So anyway, someone who was because his Franco family, Franco is one of my lines, owned fabric mills, textile mills throughout Europe, and so did mine. And it's just too much of a commonality for there not to be a connection. But Joseph Ventura is the only still living person who was alive at the time of the Shoah and went into hiding. He is on Facebook. I heard him speak at the LA County Holocaust Museum some years ago. And he's a member of a new group, which I started, a offshoot of my Sephardic cousins group called Crete Hanya Jewish Descendants. And he's the most prized member because he is the only testament to the Jews of Hanya that were annihilated, that were there at that time. So, he's someone who would be a very interesting speaker. And I do know that he's able to speak English. So, I could try to cultivate that. I don't really know him well on a personal level, but I certainly could try to cultivate that with, what connections I do have.
That would be really good.
Put that out there, and I apologize for
probably better if you contact him than me, at least kind of, you're having more of a relation, since he's in your group.
I will try.
That'd be great.
Joseph Venturas, his Facebook profile even is not in English, it's in Greek, which it's all Greek to me. If you've ever looked at Greek letters, it's mind-boggling. There's really no resemblance to the alphabet as we know it.
Yes,
So.
I memorized the Greek alphabet before my first trip to Rhodes, so I can at least read the signs, but I can't.
Right, I hear you. Okay, so that was, thus far.
That's possibly in June.
Okay, we talked about a Sephardic story hour, which was something to go on later about because that's an episode situation. We talked about reclaiming Sephardic identity on May 16th. The last thing we spoke about was Sephardic survivors of the Shoah.
Yes.
I seeked off because it's connected, mentioning Yosef Venturas.
Yes.
And okay. And yeah, I
So
know
there's two others. There's Sephardim in the arts, which I've already done some already, but there's interest to do more.
Okay, hold on a second. Sephardim, so that's I'm numbering these for my own edification. Sephardim in the arts, and the arts can be
Music, dance, art, just different kinds of art, art.
right. I think that you might want to do ketuvot.
Mhm.
My I'm artistic like you are, and I made my own ketuvah.
Oh,
And
neat.
it's based upon the designs of a Turkish carpet, a Turkish architecture.
Uh-huh.
And would you like to see it?
Sure, yes.
It's behind plexiglass. So let me see if it'll work to show it to you. Hold on a second. Were you able to see that, or?
No, it froze up again, and it did not display.
I'm
It's frozen now.
tell me if you can.
I cannot hear you because it's cutting in and out.
This. What?
I could not hear
You
you
can
because
or
it's
cannot?
cutting in and out.
I'm sorry, I apologize. I also carve gourds in a Mediterranean
Oh, cool.
style. Yeah, so anyway.
So that could be a possible one where you would want to be a speaker.
Yes,
I'm going to
I would
make a
love
note
to.
here.
But on
that
something like
possible.
that, yeah, possible.
And then one more. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but I wanted to add something to that.
Okay.
One has to be clear whether when they're talking about in the realm of graphic arts or visual arts, if the artist, if what they produce is specifically Jewish / Sephardic content, because you have Sephardic artists who are Sephardic by their heritage, and what they're creating doesn't necessarily have any religious infusion. So I guess that would need to be clarified. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. So that's a good point. I'm going to make a note here.
Okay. All right, so okay. The third thing that I wrote down was Sephardim in the arts.
And then the last one is the Sephardic publishing experience. And the reason why that's on the list is going back to Bridget again. She's going to be on several, like I think you probably will. She has written several books,
Mhm.
and so she's, creating these, beautiful things, just like Ilko. Ilko said, he sent me two copies, or two of his
Mhm.
books, several copies of each. And
Right.
and he said, at least for the first one, that 60% of that was based on facts.
That's yes.
I think
That's
that's so cool,
correct.
because there, and it kind of makes it interesting, and it's still relevant in terms of our history.
Yes, it
So
is.
that whole publishing experience, I think you can relate to that one as well. Uh,
Absolutely. By the way, I have both of Ilko's books, and they were he probably told you they were translated into many languages. Um, Very cool to be able to do that.
yes, that's wonderful. The larger audience. So that's pretty much the list. I've
Exactly.
added a couple of your ideas as well, and
Mhm.
so, and also,
Oh, I
so
have more. I have a couple more
oh,
ideas, but go ahead. I don't want to interrupt you. Go ahead.
so um, I think we should continue to add to the list, but then it also comes back to prioritizing, because right now I'm talking about, we need to plan. So prioritizing for and plan dates for May, June, July, in
Major.
terms of getting the word out and making sure, that we have proper publicity so that we can have fairly good attendance.
Right. And one thing I want to add before I forget about that is that even though I think that um, this pandemic put the spotlight on seminars, presentations, exposition of research um, through online means. So, because people forcibly have been sequestered, um, I think that one of the few, and I say few, benefits of created by this pandemic, I hope it continues, that people can network that way, receive information that way,
Mhm.
even though they can leave and freely go to markets and have coffee with people, because the fact remains, even if we're not 100% out of the pandemic and out and about, we still need. I set up close to 8 groups for all the different branches of my Ashkenazic family and the separate branches of my Sephardic family.
Mhm.
And that was about 12 to 15 years ago. And since then, I've been able to connect regularly with relatives across the world,
Wow.
otherwise would not have the ability to do. Plus, gain their photographs
Nice.
uh, of our ancestors, which I would have had no access to otherwise. So it's been monumental. The whole idea of social media and being able to connect with people all over the world can be another topic in and of itself. With a panel, how has social media enabled um, how is social media enabled and contributed to uh, the development of family trees and genealogy? I think that's a fascinating topic, and you'd have quite a few people that would be wonderful on such a presentation. Um, the last thing, unless you want to add to that, is, well, tree building is another thing that's kind of separate but connected. Tree building methodologies. We could suffuse it with Sephardic flavor by saying Sephardic tree building strategies.
Mhm.
The final thing that I wanted to mention was food.
Oh, yeah. So we have that covered.
Which you've beautifully covered and can be covered even more because there are recipes and we have the ability to do a live demonstration in a kitchen. And that is very interesting because everybody loves food.
So we had several people do that exact thing. Sarah Arioste, I'm probably pronouncing her name wrong again.
Arreste, yes.
Yes, Arioste.
Arreste.
And
Like the police are gonna come and arrest you.
that's right.
Arreste.
And Susan
But
Baracas.
they're not really.
Susan Baracas
Yes,
actually
Susan,
did.
yes, I think Susan is the wife of someone on the board of Sephardic Brotherhood, if I'm not
Oh, okay.
mistaken.
She actually did a demo cooking something, and also part of that food event
Remember,
was Karen Sarhon in Istanbul. So yes, I want to have more
Right.
events, and that is on our list already. And in terms of more about our cooking, I think that it's I'll actually, let's see. I thought it was. I'm gonna add it. I'm gonna add one. I don't cooking. More cooking. We can't get enough cooking.
we can't get enough food, and we need it to survive.
So since I have to close in a couple minutes, I have an appointment.
With your lovely dentist, I think, right?
Yes. So what I want to do is, in terms of the number one, I think for you, correct me if I'm wrong, is, and I'm calling this Sephardic communities in other lands.
Yes.
That Joseph Benatar is going to speak on June 6th about Bulgaria. And I think it would be good if you could speak about Crete.
Sure.
Okay, so perfect. So
wait, let me ask you something. How long,
oh,
generally speaking, what is the duration of such a presentation?
and that is a question that Sarah gave me some good advice on a while back, to have these no longer, let's say, hour and a half. So if we kept it to 1 hour, then each speaker, let's say 15-20 minutes, and then Q&A at the end.
Absolutely, because it's not only children that have limited attention spans. Adults are no different.
Oh yeah.
In that sense. And adults, it's a little bit more polite with us adults, but we like to multitask. And you want, if you're making a presentation, people not to be juggling 5 balls in the air while they're listening to a presentation. You want them to be intellectually present. So I think that that's a good idea, is to plan something. And it's very different if there's one presenter as opposed to a panel. So I think, Sarah definitely has a point there, and there has to be time for questions. So on the June 6th presentation, yes, of Jews from other lands, what duration do you anticipate there should be for each person to speak? How many speakers would you like on that panel?
If we could get one more, that would be great. But at this point, there would be you and Joseph.
Okay. And again, would this just be a thumbnail history of the Jews of that region?
Okay, here's my opinion.
Yes.
Since we're the discussion that we are having, we're including other people in part of that. We're kind of forming, not too tightly, but the general theme. And in terms of Sephardic communities in other lands, what do you think is relevant for that time, that kind of a time slot? It could be, some historical aspects as well as the current. I'm gonna what I would like to do to answer your question
Mhm.
is, since we have time, let's I'll set up a meeting with you and Joseph, and we can kind of hash that out, how we want to do this. And if we have a third, that's fine. If not, that's fine too.
So I have a thought about that, and I know I'm going to abbreviate this because I know you're anxious to get off to the dentist. But I think that if it can have three components. One is a thumbnail history of the Jews in that territory, which includes just the general history, prominent towns, and the involvement of the Holocaust in that region. Second, talk a little bit about the foods that are indigenous to that Jewish culture, the Jewish culture of that country, and finally relating it to the speaker's personal experience, family experience that resided in that country. Those three things, if they can be homogenized and encapsulated in that half hour or less than that, because it's gonna drag on, that 20 to 25 minutes of speaking, I think that sort of synopsizes. That would be a good format.
So this is something you can mention, but
Right.
here's my perspective.
Okay.
And this is what I've told several people. I'm providing the platform here.
Yes.
And so there are very creative people that have come forward to share their experiences. And I'm trying to refine it a little bit in terms of the various themes, but
Yes.
I don't want to tell people what they should or shouldn't, what the main points should be, but we can
No,
kind of,
I'm not suggesting that you
oh,
do, but if you don't have a standardized format,
okay, okay.
I'm just saying a game
Just as a
plan, not
suggestion.
what they say, but a format of the things that they should cover. But it's up to them how they cover it or what specifically it is.
So they're suggested possible topics, not necessarily even that they need to do that. Joseph has some things that he's
Right.
a teacher, and he may want to focus on other parts of this and not even get into foods, for example. I don't know.
Right. Well, yeah, right. But whatever it is that's covered, there should be a general game plan commonality.
Mhm.
Otherwise, we're going all over the board and
Yeah.
there's nothing homogeneous about it.
So
The
I will schedule a meeting with him and you to discuss a little bit more, and I will also refine that list that we discussed as possible topics. And at some point soon, I will be sending something out to the group to ask for other people who might be interested in being on these panels.
Sure, sure.
But so let's plan on the June uh in terms of this one for the June 6th. Here we go. June 6th for the Sephardic communities in other lands, for you to be part of that. And I have you as a possible speaker as well for the Sephardim in the arts. And there's probably going to be others that you want to be part of as well.
Right.
Oh, and of course, the ones that you mentioned, obviously you would be on those.
right, and if you can also uh, um, allow me to share this um, through Sephardic Cousins, that
Of
would be
course,
great.
yes,
Sephardic Cousins
yes.
group on Facebook. I would appreciate it, that would be wonderful.
And yes, I would ask you, and I would appreciate that you would do that because, uh, but I wanted to mention that I'm trying to do, I don't know if it's uh, just kind of as a name tag, Our Sephardic Family Presents kind of thing. But to
Okay.
share it outside of that group, I have no problem. And I'm hoping other, people that are not even in Facebook will, be able to get
Well,
involved.
right, but what I'm saying is if you can say in conjunction with
Okay.
in conjunction with Sephardic Cousins DNA and genealogy group.
Okay. So why don't you message me and I'll put that on the ones that are related to, certain ones. Yeah,
Sure,
that would be good.
sure, absolutely. And last but not least, real quickly, my mother grew up in Alexandria, Egypt.
Mm.
She and her brother, whose DNA is what I use for my that Sephardic family, um, had a very rich experience in Alexandria and the Jewish community, and so I have probably far more to say about that than I know. So the Greek is just part, and then the Egyptian jewelry, the
Uh-huh.
Arab Egyptian jewelry is very interesting as well.
So those are potential topics down the line as well. We will continue.
Sure, I can present that and actually share a lot of photographs during the presentation. So,
That sounds wonderful.
okay. All right. So should we quickly arrange another time to speak, or you'll just get back to me?
I will get back to you.
Okay. And is there anything right now that I need to send to you?
So I will be requesting bios. So I have a sample bio that someone did that I can send you.
Please do. Can you send it to me though via email?
Yes,
I find it so hard sometimes to find messages on Facebook. It's very uneven.
I will.
And
Yes,
you have my email, I assume.
yes. And so
Okay.
so when we get into more discussion on with this one that's coming up in June 6th, I will set up a meeting to talk to you and Joseph about that one, and then we'll have other things that will
Okay. So when is Ilko is
Ilko, I need to talk to him because I planned another date with him that's not going to work, but I'm hoping he will be okay with June 27th.
okay, so I'm just putting that down as speculative.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm happy to also to speak in conjunction in a program with Ilko if you like, because he and I share our Bulgarian
That's
ancestry, and
really cool. I didn't know that.
both are very into it.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, I'm also a second cousin of the director of genealogy for Family Tree DNA.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
yes, so that's yet another person who maybe can be called for information.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, maybe that's someone that we could have on one of our panels as well to get more,
Perhaps, perhaps.
discussion.
Okay.
All
Take
right.
care
Nice
and
talking with you.
try no pain with the dentist.
I think you have the notes, unless you want me to send you the recording. I don't think it's going to be much more. Okay. Okay, will do. I'll talk to you later.